Hey everyone, this is Lisa from Life in Layout, and today I'm going to be using the PhotoPlay You Had Me at Paper collection. This is actually a scrapbook kit from Scrapbook Generation. This kit is one of those kits where they give you very little paper. The paper usually includes a cut apart sheet that you use to make the embellishments. I purchased this kit a really long time ago, and it's one of those kits that have been just really sitting in my scrapbook room, and I haven't really gotten around to using it. But when I did my organizational video, which I will link the playlist here for you if you have not seen that yet, it made me realize that I had a couple of these kits that I really wanted to get completed. And this particular layout kit that I wanted to complete, I knew I wanted to use with the photos that I had taken during COVID. One of the great things about COVID was that I met some truly amazing people through Zoom cropping. In several of the Facebook groups that I was a part of, there were people who decided to start having Zoom crops. And I knew almost immediately that this was the way that I wanted to crop from now on. I love the fact that I didn't have to pack up my stuff. I had everything in my room. I love the social aspect of it. And there were times when there were a ton of people on the Zoom crops, sometimes as many as 12 or 15 people. And what was so great about it was everyone had their videos on. The further we went on into COVID, and even now, a lot of times people don't turn on their cameras, and that really kind of defeats the purpose of Zoom cropping, because you want to see everybody. You want to see their craft room. You want to see what they're working on. You want to share your layout that you're working on. I really did enjoy that time of the 2020 experience, and I feel like that was one of those things that was a good thing that came out of that year. So I had taken a bunch of pictures of my computer screen where I had all of the people who were a part of the Zoom. And this happened across multiple days, so I don't really have the ability to date these photos, but I knew that I wanted to include all of them. So I've got some screenshots on the left, as well as a card that says I only scrapbook on the days that end in Y. And that was definitely the case during COVID. I was scrapbooking every single day. Over on the right hand side, I have kind of my setup where I was using my computer for Zoom cropping. I also had my much older computer and my original Silhouette that I was using to apparently cut out some banner pieces. And I also found this meme that says, I think social distancing is spelled, and then it spells out scrapbooking, and it has a bunch of craft supplies on it, which I loved. And then I also have two 2x2 photos that show a wider shot of my scrapbook room. Normally when I'm doing these kits, I tend to stick with just the paper that comes with it. However, I did not have true 4x6 photos on the left-hand side, so I had to use some of the paper that was called for additional things over on the left. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to pull out my Doodlebug Petite prints and add a couple pieces to it. I didn't add a whole lot, but what I did pull out was the citrus in the stripes, and I'm going to use that instead of the green that comes with the collection, and it is more of like a wavy piece. So the background piece is 8 inches, and that's going to be on the right hand side. Obviously the left hand side is going to be 8 inches of photos. And then for the bottom pieces, I decided to add this washi tape. And do you see my mistake? My washi tape is upside down. I do figure that out way later in the video, and I tried to pull it up and it did not come up. I ripped the paper, so I was like, I'm just going to leave it. The washi tape's just going to be upside down. Once I got the washi tape paper down, I then added the green striped paper right above it. And I do like the fact that I went with the tone-on-tone solid color, because this layout is super busy with the really bright pink and all the fun colors of that washi tape, as well as that teal paper that has thread that forms into hearts, which I really like that paper, but I cover up a majority of it. So you just have a couple pieces sticking through. I then decided to add the 4x6 card down on the right hand side, and then this is where I'm going to add the photos, and you can see that they are not true 4x6 photos. what I decided to do was take some of that paper that has the thread on it, and I just added it over to the far right hand side. So it almost looks as if that thread paper spans across the entire layout, even underneath the photos on the left hand side. I did have to tuck it under the photos as well as under that washi tape paper, and then I just trimmed off the edge because it was easier than trying to measure it and make sure that it was correct, especially since I only had 2 sheets of paper from this collection. I wanted to make sure that I didn't miscut anything. I then added the stripe paper on the bottom side of the left-hand side of the layout as well. And of course I had to pull out my T-square ruler to make sure that it is straight, because you guys know that I can't get anything straight without a T-square ruler. I still struggle with making sure that my 1/4-inch strips are the same size, so I look through the ones that I cut out to make sure that I have the right size on the top part of the layout as well. I was video chatting with Nicole a month ago or so, I'm not exactly sure when, but we were actually talking about like how long we had been friends and like when our friendship truly started. I remember fangirling Nicole years ago when I first started my channel. She was one of the people that I loved. I don't want to say I kind of stole some of her ideas, but kind of. When I was trying to build my channel and thinking about what I wanted to do, there were things that were a part of her channel that I really wanted to include in mine. So when we started doing Zoom crops and Nicole was there, it was such a fun time because first of all, I was absolutely fangirling that I was being able to crop with a scrapbook YouTube celebrity. But then she's just an amazing person and I love hanging out with her and I love the friendship that we formed, and it absolutely happened during 2020. Over on the right hand side, I did have the 3 4x4 photos, and then I also had the 2x2 photos, and I needed another sheet of paper to go on the back of those 2x2 photos. So I did pull out the Doodlebug Petite prints in the floral and added that square to the grid so that I could add the 2x2 photos on top of it. And of course, the paper was not the same size as the photos because it never is. So I did have to pull out my T-square ruler and my X-Acto knife to trim up the floral paper just a little bit to make sure that it was the same size. I then added my other photo with my computer, as well as the social distancing is spelled scrapbooking down at the bottom right hand side. Of course, that one wasn't the same size either, so I did have to trim that up just a little bit. And I did have to trim that up using my trimmer instead of the X-Acto knife because the word scrapbooking really goes edge to edge. But then of course I did cut it a little short, so I had to trim the top photo. The scrapbook kit did not call for this particular card to be over on the right hand side. It actually had the word fun cut out and used as an embellishment. I really liked the saying fun with the girls because I felt like that really embodied the entire layout of just having so much fun on these Zoom crops. I then added the 2 2x2 photos, and I did add one flat and one up on fun foam. I absolutely added those as a 2x2 because my room was a hot mess. I was in the middle of creating when I took these photos, so there is stuff all over the desk, but I felt like it still represented what my room looked like at that time, and so I didn't want a full 4x4 photo of it or even a 4x6, but I did want it represented. So the 2x2 is a perfect size for that. Then I started to fussy cut out some of the pieces that the kit called for you to fussy cut. Off camera, you can't see it, but right in front of me is the instructions, which is a printed out paper of the sketch. And then they also provide you with a color copy photo of the layout completed so that you can get an idea of what pieces needed to be cut out, as well as how to lay some of the pieces out. I really do enjoy these layouts. Scrapbook Generation has them often. The first weekend of the month, they offer a free layout kit with $25 purchase. They often offer a $10 kit where it comes with the sketch as well as the pieces to make it. And I picked up several of those for a couple of reasons. One, I picked them up especially for collections that I don't want the entire collection. Maybe I just want to make a one layout with it. But also sometimes those one-off things where it's like, I don't know what to do with these photos. I go through the Scrapbook Generation kits and see if there's something that I can pair up very easily with the kit that they have already created. The scrapbook kit also included a little heart that you could fussy cut out, and I thought, oh, I'll just use my punch. And they used a 3x4 card to cut out the heart, but I didn't think about the fact that my punch was a lot bigger, so I was only able to get 2 hearts in the pink. So luckily I still had that green paper that I was supposed to use as the 1/4" strip. I just used that to cut out one of the hearts as well. And I actually like the fact that I have the 2 pink hearts as well as 1 green heart. I do put all of those up on fun foam and add them to the top right hand side of the layout like the kit calls for. This strip of paper here is the paper that we're supposed to use the green side to use the 1/4" strip. But since I didn't use that, I decided to go ahead and cut out one of the letter boxes. And the one that I use says will work for scrapbook paper, which, I mean, sometimes that's how I feel. With the amount of collections that I have purchased recently, I definitely am working for scrapbook paper. So I did fussy cut that out and then use some fun foam to add it to the left-hand side of the layout. The instructions also said to fussy cut this washi tape out of this 3x4 card. If you do decide to purchase one of these kits, there's a lot of fussy cutting. So if that's something that you enjoy, these kits are perfect for you. I'm not a big fan of it, so I decided to pull out my Bella Boulevard Let's Scrapbook collection, and I decided that I would just use some of the embellishment pieces from this collection on this layout. Obviously the colors aren't exactly the same, so I only had to pick and choose the ones that did work for it. Over on the far right hand side, I added Happy Scrappy Vibes. I also added a pair of scissors over on the left hand side, and then I pulled out a tape runner. I was going to add it to the far right hand side, but I decided to add it to the top there where it says you had me at paper. I am really just looking through the embellishments and trying to find anything that would work. I did pull out the button pieces and I added one to each one of the clusters. And then I also pulled out the buttons in the puffy stickers and added those to the clusters. And I decided to take up the button that's over on the far right and add the camera instead. I also added a rainbow over on the far left. I then pulled out my color boxes in pink, green, and orange and added enamel dots to each one of the clusters. And then this is where I realized that the washi tape paper was upside down. So I tried to use my spatula tool to pull it up, and I ended up ripping both sides of it. So I was like, I'm just gonna let it be and just not worry about it. And then that is it for this video. Here is my final layout as well as some close-ups. I did do my journaling offline, and it says, COVID swung open the door to a fabulous realm of Zoom scrapbook crops. I was absolutely thrilled to dive into my virtual scrapbook sessions, crafting away with creative gals from every corner of the globe. And then I also did add 2020 over to the letterboard that says will work for scrapbook paper. All right, if you enjoyed this video, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already and you want to see more double page layout inspiration, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you have a scrappy day.